In the final years of World War II, as the skies burned and borders shifted, one American aircraft silently prepared to change the world, not with bombs, but with passengers. It was a machine born from war, but destined to shape peace. In 1945, the world lay in ruins, scarred by the flames of World War II. Smoke lingered over battlefields, and borders were redrawn in the ashes. But high above, one aircraft was about to rewrite history, not with weapons, but with wings. This wasn't a fighter jet or a bomber. This was the Douglas DC-4, a humble giant that carried soldiers, civilians, and dreams across oceans, stitching a fractured world back together. This is the untold story of the aircraft that connected the world after the war. Welcome to Skypulse Aviation, where we dive deep into the machines and moments that shaped our world. Today, we're soaring back to the 1940s to uncover the story of the Douglas DC-4, an aircraft that didn't just fly, it transformed how we see the world. From wartime heroics to the dawn of global travel, this plane was a bridge between destruction and hope. We'll explore why it was built, how it served in war and peace, its strengths and flaws, and its enduring legacy. Let's take flight. To understand the Douglas DC-4, we need to set the stage. It's the late 1930s, and the world is teetering on the edge of chaos. Europe is bracing for war, Asia is already engulfed, and the United States is waking up to its role on the global stage. Air travel is still a novelty. The Douglas DC-3, introduced in 1936, has revolutionized aviation by making passenger flights profitable for the first time. It's a game-changer, carrying 21 passengers across the U.S. in relative comfort. But as the drums of war grow louder, the U.S. military and airlines demand a plane that can cross oceans, carry heavier loads, and serve both soldiers and civilians. Douglas Aircraft, based in California, is riding high on the DC-3's success. In 1938, they unveiled the DC-4E, an ambitious four-engine prototype meant to be the future of aviation. It's massive, with a pressurized cabin and room for 52 passengers. But it's too complex, too costly, and too far ahead of its time. Airlines like United and American test it and turn it down. The military agrees. It's not practical for wartime needs. So, Douglas scraps the DC-4E and returns to the drawing board. What they create next isn't just a plane, it's a solution to a world on fire. The failure of the DC-4E wasn't a setback, it was a pivot. Douglas learned that simplicity and reliability trumped flashy innovation in a world facing war. This decision to prioritize function over form set the stage for the DC-4's success. By 1942, the US is fully entrenched in World War II, and Douglas unveils the true DC-4, officially the C-54 Skymaster for military use. This is no luxury liner, it's a workhorse designed for a world at war. It's powered by 4 Pratt & Whitney R2000 radial engines, each delivering 1,450 horsepower. It cruises at 280 miles per hour, or 450 kilometers per hour, with a range of over 4,200 kilometers, enough to cross the Atlantic or Pacific with ease. Its fuselage can hold up to 50 passengers or 10,000 pounds of cargo. A tricycle landing gear ensures smoother takeoffs and landings, and its unpressurized cabin, while a limitation, allows for easier maintenance and faster production. This aircraft was built to be rugged, reliable, and versatile. Its unpressurized cabin meant it could be produced quickly and maintained in the field, critical for wartime logistics. The DC-4 wasn't glamorous, but it was exactly what the Allies needed, a plane that could carry troops, supplies, or dignitaries across vast distances. Imagine a C-54 Skymaster roaring over the Atlantic in 1943, its engines humming through the night, carrying medical supplies to a besieged Allied base. Inside, crates are stacked high, secured by young soldiers who know this plane is their lifeline. This wasn't just a machine, it was hope in motion. The DC-4's design reflected a wartime philosophy: durability over luxury, utility over aesthetics. Its simplicity allowed Douglas to produce over 1,200 units by the war's end, making it a scalable solution for a global conflict. When the US entered World War II, the DC-4 became the C-54 Skymaster, a military transport that flew some of the most critical missions of the conflict. It crossed the Atlantic to supply Allied forces in Europe and ferried troops across the Pacific. It even carried President Franklin D. Roosevelt to the Yalta Conference in 1945, where the fate of the post-war world was decided. The C-54 wasn't just a plane, it was a lifeline, connecting battlefronts and home fronts. One of its most iconic roles was in the hump airlift over the Himalayas, supplying Allied forces in China against Japanese advances. Pilots faced treacherous weather, high altitudes, and enemy fire, yet the C-54's reliability kept it flying. By 1945, the C-54 had logged millions of miles, proving its worth as a military asset. Without the DC-4, the Allies might have struggled to maintain supply lines across oceans, potentially delaying victories or altering the war's outcome. Its role as a logistical backbone was as crucial as any weapon. When the war ended in 1945, the world was ready to heal, and the DC-4 was ready to help. Hundreds of surplus C-54s were converted for civilian use, and airlines like Pan Am, TWA, KLM, and BOAC snapped them up. The DC-4 was affordable, reliable, and capable of long-range flights at a time when the world was desperate to reconnect. It became the backbone of global commercial aviation, flying routes from New York to London, Cape Town to Nairobi, and Sydney to Singapore. For the first time, ordinary people, not just the elite, could travel internationally. The DC-4 democratized air travel, making the world feel smaller and more connected. Picture a family boarding a Pan Am DC-4 in 1947, leaving war-torn Europe for a new life in America. The cabin hums with the sound of radial engines, and through the window, they see the ocean below, a symbol of the distance they're leaving behind and the hope they're flying toward. The DC-4's transition from military to civilian use was a masterstroke of repurposing. Its affordability and range allowed airlines to expand rapidly, laying the groundwork for the global aviation industry we know today. The DC-4's defining moment came during the Berlin Airlift of 1948 to 1949. When the Soviet Union blockaded West Berlin, cutting off food and supplies, the Allies responded with an unprecedented airlift. C-54 Skymasters flew around the clock, delivering millions of tons of food, fuel, and medicine to a starving city. At its peak, a plane landed in Berlin every 90 seconds. The DC-4 didn't just save a city, it became a symbol of defiance against oppression, proving that aviation could be a force for good. Globally, the DC-4 reshaped geopolitics. It enabled airlines to establish international routes, fostering trade, tourism, and cultural exchange. It carried refugees to safety, delivered aid to disaster zones, and flew scientific expeditions to remote regions. The DC-4 wasn't just a plane, it was a tool of unity. The Berlin Airlift's success relied heavily on the DC-4's reliability and capacity, making the operation feasible on an unprecedented scale. The airlift marked a turning point in the Cold War, and the DC-4 was its unsung hero. The DC-4 was a triumph, but it had its flaws. Its strengths included a long range of over 4,200 kilometers, perfect for transcontinental flights. It was reliable, able to operate in harsh conditions, and versatile, serving military, civilian, and cargo roles with ease. Surplus C-54s were affordable, making air travel accessible. However, its unpressurized cabin meant it couldn't fly above storms, limiting passenger comfort. By the 1950s, newer planes like the Lockheed Constellation and Douglas DC-6, with pressurization and greater speed, rendered it obsolete. Compared to modern airliners, it was loud and Spartan. The DC-4's weaknesses were products of its time. Its unpressurized cabin was a trade-off for wartime production speed, but it couldn't compete with the comfort of post-war designs. Yet its affordability kept it flying long after newer planes emerged. By the 1960s, the DC-4 was fading from passenger service, replaced by faster, pressurized airliners. But it didn't vanish. Many DC-4s were converted into freighters, air ambulances, or bush planes, serving remote regions in Alaska, Africa, and South America. Even today, a handful still fly, their radial engines roaring over jungles and tundras, a testament to their durability. The DC-4's true legacy is intangible. It transitioned aviation from a tool of war to a force for connection. It carried families to new homes, supplies to desperate cities, and ideas across borders. It showed the world that flight could heal as much as it could destroy. Without the DC-4, the global airline industry might have grown more slowly, delaying the interconnected world we take for granted. Its role in democratizing flight set the stage for the jet age and beyond. The Douglas DC-4 wasn't the fastest or the flashiest, but it was the right plane at the right time. It carried the weight of a world rebuilding itself, connecting people when they needed it most. Its story reminds us that sometimes, the greatest heroes aren't the ones in the spotlight, they're the ones that keep the world moving. If this journey through aviation history inspired you, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more stories of legendary machines, and share it with a friend who loves history or flight. Stay tuned. More epic tales are coming your way. Until next time, keep soaring.